Hi folks, my name is Rob Hirst from Midnight Oil, and this is my dear friend and colleague, guitar player, producer, songwriter extraordinaire, Jim Moginie, also from Midnight Oil.
That's right, and also over the break. And we are going to take over Rage tonight, play some great music for you. Australian music, overseas music, soft, loud, by men and women.
Contemporary, old-fashioned, in the middle, who knows?
Stay tuned.
Hi folks, welcome back. Rob here from Midnight Oil, sitting next to Jim, also from Midnight Oil. We wanted to tell you about a song called, and a film clip called Elephant by Tame Impala. As you know, an amazing band from Perth, 5-piece, but certainly the brainchild of Kevin Parker, and they've really come up with something amazing. I love the mix on this, very 60s mix, very Beatley. In fact, in the clip you'll see Rickenbacker guitars and Beatle basses. The drums are mixed way back, the vocals are also mixed way back, and it's got this great kind of jamming middle section, really love, on keyboards, which is a bit like Steppenwolf, or one of those bands we used to listen to in the 70s. I believe a lot of the album was made in France, which can only be a good thing, no? And yeah, anyway, nice psychedelic film clip, also by the boys, and certainly one of the bands, the new crop of bands that we love most. Here's Tame Impala with Elephant.
This song is an unusual one. I think we should throw this in the mix here, because it might be all getting a bit serious for you, than Rage tonight. This is Patrick Swayze. And Midnight Oil would always have a backstage sort of area where after the show, we'd meet people from different towns. And Patrick came along to our gig at the Enmore Theatre in Sydney. And it's unusual for sort of a Hollywood actor like that to come to an Australian political rock band event, but he did, and he was a very nice bloke. Very short, like a lot of actors are.
Short but nice.
Short and sweet, and very, very nice fella. We had a lot of other people coming to our gigs that were interesting. Lee Majors, the $6 Million Man, came. Casey Kasem came one night with his Top 40 show. Who else did we get, Rob?
I don't know, I must have been in the bus asleep when all of these people came. I don't remember any of these people.
Bryan Adams even came when we were in Vancouver.
That's Brian, not Ryan.
Yeah, and Martin Rotzi blew up his Vox AC30 amp. And Bryan Adams actually brought his Vox AC30 amp over in the back of his car, in the back of his RV, I think, and loaded it out the back of his, and then brought it backstage. And they're not very light amps; they weigh about 30 kilos. He dragged it in, and he let us use his amp, and then he hung out with us, and it was sort of, the Oils weren't really like the supermodel kind of backstage big thing.
Total
It's got guys with beards and poems and check shirts and people like that. So
I remember what he said now, actually. I remember this now. He said, I like the band for the songs and everything, but I like all the extra harmony vocals and stuff you do whilst jumping up and down. Yeah, that's what he said.
Right. So,
thanks, Brian.
But look, Patrick Swayze, it has to be thrown in the mix tonight. It's a bit of fun, and I think you'll know the film it's from. Patrick Swayze.
So the story goes, I was sitting up there at King's Cross with my dear friend Rick Rossman, and ran into a friend, and a friend put this album in my hand. It was by a Sydney 4-piece band called Cabins. This was a couple of years ago, and I took the album home, and I was absolutely astounded by the moods on this album, particularly this single song you probably know. I think it's been played on Rage quite a bit, Catcher in the Rye. But it starts off with a kind of velvety underground groove which stays the whole time, and then it's got the killer piano part that comes in as well. And I think these guys originally hail from the Gong. It's where Jim hangs out these days, down from the Gong, but they moved to Sydney to make their album. And I love the mood of this, and the film clip goes really well with it as well. Nice hazy film clip with lots of smoke blowing through it and everything. But and the lyrics, well, I don't know, I must be taking the wrong drugs, but the lyrics are very psychedelic. Really like the lyrics as well. Really like the band. This is Cabins, Catcher in the Rye.
This song you're about to hear is Gone Daddy Gone by the Violent Femmes. And Brian Ritchie from the Violent Femmes plays with us two, and Martin Rotzi from the Oils.
In the break.
Mm. And the Femmes are a great band, and a really fun band, and we saw them in lots of opportunities in the 90s and even the 80s, I think, in the States, touring with them. sharing a tour manager even, I think, at one stage.
Yes, and Brian, when we came to his hometown of Milwaukee, he would always take us to the best German restaurants there. You know, big German beer-drinking town, Milwaukee. I think also makes Harley-Davidsons. Tough town. So we grabbed Brian when he moved to Tassie, and he's ended up in this instrumental band called The Break. But this is a Violence Femmes song.
Yeah, which features a vibraphone, I think, or a glockenspiel or something, or a xylophone or something in it, which is unusual for a pop record. And Don Gaddy Gone, Gone Daddy Gone.
That's it.
That's it. Here it comes.
Hi there, folks watching Rage. I'm Rob from Midnight Oil. I want to talk about a dear friend of mine, an amazing Australian musician. His name is Brod Smith, and folks of a certain age might remember him from bands like Carson and from the Dingoes, Big Combo, more recently with Tabasco Tom and Doc, and also Backsliders. I play with Brod in Backsliders, and it's a real joy because the man has so many skills. He's a great musician, songwriter, singer, and blues harmonica player. But this is an album called, this song comes from an album called Unknown Country. The album is also called Unknown Country. It came out a couple of years ago. On this, Brod is produced by the great Matt Walker from Melbourne, who also plays guitar all through it. And a very tasteful guitar it is as well. And they create on this album an incredible mood. And Brod is a great wordsmith, so every word is meant to be where it is. The clip itself is quite haunting, and I think what Brod is saying in this clip is that us city slickers will never really know this country. We're still very new to it, and as you look at the clip and see the trees, the eucalypts getting blown around, you get this sense of threat as well about the country, which I think all Europeans perhaps still feel to some extent about Australia. So this is the marvellous Brod Smith with Unknown Country. And just a little aside, the band's great keyboard player Garth Hudson also played on the album. He's an old friend of Brod's and added some amazing keyboards, the old Lowry organ and that stuff. So here's Brod.
This song is by Joe Strummer and the Mescaleros. It's called the Redemption Song, and Joe is just one of these characters in almost like an icon in music, I think. I remember seeing The Clash at the Capitol Theatre in 1981, and when I walked in, I was a bit indifferent, and when I walked out, I was a complete believer.
Because they were doing the Magnificent Seven concerts, and they did seven concerts in a row at the Capitol.
Yeah, that's right. And they really it was an incredible experience to be part of that. And I think The Clash are just such an influential band. And Joe himself as a human being just seemed to encapsulate everything great about a lyricist, a musician. He had a social agenda. He loved his music. He was a great human being and a great friend to so many people, it seems. That all comes out afterwards.
And passed away tragically at the age of 50.
On the couch reading The Guardian, apparently.
Well, that would kill you.
He passed away in his early 50s. Yeah, that's right. And he's... anyway, look, we in the memory of Joe, and to dedicate this one to him and the inspiration he created, here he is with the Redemption Song. And
directly after Redemption Song, another Joe Strummer and Mescalero song called Get Down Moses, which harks back to the Clash's days of the reggae influences, which were right through the Sandinista album and that period when they really got that kind of white reggae thing. And as Jim was saying, yeah, right from the very early Clash songs, White Riot, right up until Joe was finished up with music, band that was totally committed to politics, on the side of the Angels, and great musician. And we actually played them with a version of The Clash, that is Midnight Oil, in Western France one time. This was with a later version of The Clash, and he signed an autograph for us, so he must be okay.
Yeah, that was the Cut the Crap album, wasn't it? I think they'd just done...
That's right.
Bernie Rhodes came back into the fold and started to take over, and then it all ended in tears, as it always does.
Yeah, we miss you. Miss you, Joe.
Here comes.
Okay, next, folks, on this odyssey of music, I'm Rob from Midnight Oil, and this is none other than Jim Moginie, also from Midnight Oil.
Good evening.
Oh, it's getting late, folks, but here's a fantastic song by Sean Sennett and the great Katie Nunan, who must surely have the best voice in the country. She can really soar, which is why this song, My Love is a Kite, seems to illustrate that very fact. Her voice soars in this part. You'll hear her when she comes in. And this amazing film clip, which I don't think very many people saw, but I remember Sean telling me that it took about 6 months to put together, and by the time it was finally ready, the song sort of over, so it never really had its day. So maybe tonight is the right night for My Love is a Kite, Sean Sennett, here they are, and Katie Nunan.
Good evening, this is Jim from Midnight Oil on the Break. This is Rob and
Hi,
from Midnight Oil on the Break. And I'd like to introduce Robert Wyatt, a great hero of mine. Used to be a drummer in the Soft Machine, drumming singer again, who became crippled when he fell out of a building and lost the use of his legs. So I had to then concentrate, instead of drumming, on being a keyboard player and singer. And in the process, he's produced some of the most incredible music ever made, in my opinion. Very jazz influenced. He used to be a cornet player when he was young. Had a very musical father, musical family. Was one of the last avowed communists in the world. Would always say, even into the 80s and 90s, he was a communist. When that was very unfashionable, because the 80s was anything but about being a communist, wasn't it? Let's remember that. And Robert has produced an incredible body of work in his life, and most sincere singer. The tone that he gets, and the humanity and the frailty that he can.
Heartbreaking singer.
Shipbuilding's one of them, but this one here as well.
Covered by Elvis Costello, wasn't it? Shipbuilding.
Yep. And he's made Nothing Can Stop Us is one of my favourite albums that he made too. But he's never come to Australia. Maybe it's not too late, but check this one out if you haven't heard Robert Wyatt. Here he comes on Rage.
Good evening, folks. Still here. That is myself, Rob Hirst from Midnight Oil, and also Jim Moginie from Midnight Oil.
And the break.
And hope you're still awake, because we certainly are. Hope you liked some of our song selections and our long extended raves about them. Hope we didn't send you to sleep. And from this point on, I think that you're going to cop bucket loads of Midnight Oil, including the next clip, which is for a song called Blue Sky Mine, from the Blue Sky Mining album, in which we all voyaged out to the salt pan near Kalgoorlie in Western Australia, and made a clip with Claudia and Jane Castle, who did quite a few of our film clips, really good film clip makers. And what do you remember about that?
Well, it was about 55 degrees. It was so hot. It was brutal, and you couldn't even go outside. It was just incredible experience. We were out there. It was the 80s, so you'd spend 3 or 4 days making a film clip. They had budgets in those days. And we had people from France flew over to see the gig. We had all sorts of people coming out to see us.
They got sunstroke. Remember
Richard
the French?
Wilkins was even there. I mean,
the French got sunstroke because they wanted to get a tan, but it was about 45 degrees and the pavement in Boulder was melting, and so they all emerged on the day after they arrived, absolutely burnt to hell. But in any case, the film clip came out. It was based on a song, Blue Sky Mine, which was inspired by a book that Jim had been reading by Ben Hills called Blue Murder, about the tragedy of the blue asbestos mine in Wittenoom, Western Australia, whereby the workers, a lot of them blackbirded from Europe, and on contracts they couldn't escape, had to work in the deadly dust, and then contracted asbestosis, or the dreaded mesothelioma, and have since passed away. So we felt that was a very typical Midnight Oil song. And so pieced together the...
it was justice wasn't being done. The company wasn't looking after their workers, led them down the garden path, really didn't tell them what the real story was about where they were working. So the song was really about that, and it had a bit of harmonica playing from Peter Gower on it, which was a last-minute idea thrown on just before we mixed it. And anyway, look, here it is. It's Blue Sky Mine by Midnight Oil, and there's a whole bunch of Midnight Oil to follow, so hope you love it.
And good night, and thank you.
Thank you. Here's a song called Forgotten Years, and the film clip was made in Verdun, where the site of in the First World War, where there was 1 million people were killed in a terrible battle. And this is actually where we made the clip, and I'll send this over to Rob, because he has more knowledge about this stuff.
Yeah, so the band went to northern France, to Verdun, and we were given permission to film in the amazing... It was actually the American cemetery there that we actually did the filming, but around us were massive French cemeteries, and where our own diggers were buried as well. And the effect on us was incredibly powerful. The mist rolled in, helicopter came in to do the shots. Very very, very cold day. Once again, film clip made by Claudia and Jane Castle, filmmakers and cinematographer extraordinaire. And the song talks about... was actually based on a story of my grandfather, originally, and father, who both fought in the First World War and the Second World War, respectively. And it's about our need to remember the horrors of the wars of last century, in case this century turns out the same way. So here's Forgotten Years, and here's the clip that we made in Verdun in France.
I'll just add one other thing to that.
Here's Jim.
Yeah, we made the clip, and where we made it was the American cemetery. I felt pretty uncomfortable being there, to be honest with you, because there was all these graves and stretching as far as the eye could see, and it wasn't a set, it was a real place where people had really died. You could feel it in the atmosphere of the place. It was all around, like a oppressive kind of some sort of weight on your shoulders. And I felt pretty bad about doing it, but when I came home, my uncle saw it, and he fought in the Second World War, and he was in Borneo and places like that, Burma and things. And he said to me, well, I don't know about your music, but that song Forgotten Years really captures what it was all about, being over there, and what afterwards, when you come home from a war like that, what it feels like. And so thanks a lot for doing that song. And I thought, well, at least that kind of maybe justified being in that hallowed and sacred place in a way to gone through all that and come out the other end. But it's a great sentiment, Forgotten Years. It's always a great one to play. It always sort of gets people and gets us at the same time. Here it comes, Forgotten Years.
Morning, folks. Rob from Midnight Oil here, and I have the pleasure of introducing one of my favourite bands and a song, a couple of years old, but nonetheless a goodie. The band is a two-piece from Sydney called the Mess Hall, and about 5 years ago I was wandering around the studio in Sydney called Big Jesus Burger, doing a bit of drumming with Dallas Frasca, and I ran into an engineer there. Was it Burke Reed, I think? Yeah, was producing this, and I overheard this band, and I asked him who it was, and he said, "Oh, this is the Mess Hall, and they're about to release this album. The album's called Devil's Elbow." And then I took that away, and I didn't hear much about the band until I ended up on the Australian Music Prize. We're giving away some cash for the best band, and I think the Mess Hall won 2008 the Australian Music Prize, which must have helped along a little bit. But great two-piece band, with their orange and right in dirty blues, way back to Son House and Robert Johnson, that kind of thing. But also, you'd have to say, influenced by, well, more the Black Keys, I'd say, than the White Stripes, and also other bands, perhaps even Australian bands like Jackson Firebird, which have come out. That great two-piece, the rawness you can get with a two-piece band. And I think Sess is a fantastic drummer, a bit like Wally DeBacker. He's got that lovely fluid style. They're both some of my favourite new drummers around the place. And Jed, the guitar player and singer, I think directed the film clip as well. So very talented people. Here's the Mess Hall. So just keep walking.
This is Jim from Midnight Oil.
And this is Rob from Midnight Oil.
And The Break now. And you probably come home from somewhere and you need to stay awake, because we are going to program the rest of the night for you.
Some fantastic
so stay
stuff.
tuned.
Some fantastic stuff. Trust
It's
us.
gonna be good.
Trust us, we're musicians. Hi folks, we're Midnight Oil and we're on Rage.